raise your hand or stop me in the middle of anything. This is information that I had hoped I had before I graduated from college or when I'm doing a job search. So I'm hoping this will help with you. So I will go ahead and get rid of my video. Okay, so the value of labor market data. Oh, okay, what's going on here? There we go. Okay, so who is the South Central Workforce Development Council and why am I speaking to you? I'm the Communications and Employer Engagement Analyst for a small nonprofit located in Yakima. We're part of the workforce system, and I met Vicki when I was at WorkSource, but I'll talk about WorkSource later. So Washington State, I'm not going to read this to you, but it's divided into 12 WDAs, Workforce Development Areas, and through the federal government under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, each WDA is managed by a business-led board of directors. So the Workforce Council, South Central Workforce Council, oversees Kittitas, Skamania, and Yakima counties. So in short, we go from the top of Snoqualmie Pass all the way down to almost Vancouver and the Columbia River Gorge. What is labor market information? It's fair to say I never thought I'd be talking about this. I was an English major at Seattle University, and I didn't really dig into LMI data except for the Consumer Price Index when until about 6 years ago when I changed careers and went into workforce development. LMI is essential to understanding the rapidly changing nature of work and how it impacts the workforce and the U.S. economy. Again, like I said earlier, I wish I'd known about LMI when I was in a job search, and I think that you can use this data for your future and if you ever decide to change careers. So there's free LMI data, and let me go back up, and there's proprietary information. So the most critical free data is the ONET code connector. So I'm not sure if all of you have picked a major or a minor. If you haven't, or if you have, you can dive into ONET and look at the various occupations tied to that major. When I was an English major, I was planning just to go into teaching or law, and I didn't really see the value of looking at all the different occupations that cross-sect. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics divides occupation into standard occupational classifications, SOC code you might hear, or NICSIS, I think is what the labor market data at Employment Security talk about. So if you just go to this ONET code connector website, you can type in an occupation and it'll take you to some information to tell you about whether it's in demand, what kind of cross sections are there, wage information, a whole bunch more. So this is a great free site. So I hope that you can download this PowerPoint so you'll get the links. Another free source is the Association of Washington Business. They built this new site, AWB Institute Vitals, to give people information about rebuilding our economy after and during the pandemic. It has some pretty interesting vitals I'll show you a little bit later in the slide. Something like median wage, the average cost for the poverty rate zone, some other data. And then the US Bureau's Census, if you haven't been to the Census Bureau's American Community Survey, it has 5-year projections. The information on AWB is pre-pandemic, so it's not real-time data, which is one of the downsides of the free LMI information. It's usually about 6-month to 2-year lag. So let me show you an example of what we can get from AWB. So this is the median household income for comparing the United States and pretty much the significant counties that you may be interested in living in. This is the household income, which includes all sources, so that if they're getting sort of financial aid or basic food assistance, and it's all people living in that house. Again, these are 2019 estimates and pre-pandemic. But it's interesting to see that King County is even above the US national rate. Take this in mind when you're planning to move back somewhere or move to King County. Yes, the household income may be 102.6 thousand, but if you're a household of one, more than likely you're not going to make that. The median is the direct middle point of all the lows and all the highs. And Yakima County has grown a little bit over the last year. Kittitas is stagnant. The other place you're going to get information is from the Employment Security Department. We refer to it as ESD, just for short. They have a team, labor market and economic analysis team. You may see some newspaper articles featuring Don Messick, who is the local labor market economist for our region. And these are subject to revision as data becomes more available. So some of the information you see may, again, be 6 months old. This is the unemployment rates for December of 2020. Again, this shows you the US compared to the state, compared to the various counties. And this shows over year, it went from 4% in 2019 to 7.2. So the pandemic definitely hit every location. Hopefully you're finding this of value. I can't see your faces, so I hope you're not bored. So then there's proprietary LMI data. This means that you have to pay to get this information. The South Central Workforce Council subscribes to a few different data providers. One is Laborinsight by Burning Glass Technologies. Get forward to my notes. This is software that we purchased. I know that Vicki at Career Services also probably has some proprietary information. This is the kind of information that colleges and universities use to determine what courses to offer, so they know what occupations are in demand. The great thing about this software is that you can pull it up by the occupational code through ONET, or you can just put a burning glass occupation, which is basically the keyword that you would see in all job postings online. This is the closest we can get to real-time data. It illustrates what jobs are out there and in demand, and we can develop training programs to meet that. So this is the top in-demand jobs for the last 6 months with a bachelor's degree or higher in Washington State. I didn't pull all of them, but I wanted you to see Washington State. This was August 1st, 2020 through January 31st of 2021. And again, there's lag time. I know we're in February, but February won't be available until March. So you can see that the growth of the nursing profession, and because this is statewide, software developers and applications is huge. Managers, all other, so that could pertain to a number of industries. I was surprised to see sales representatives was so high. The first line supervisor of retail sales workers. We always think that retail is declining with Amazon, but the management of retail sales staff is still there. Marketing managers, which is similar to what I do. Medical and health services managers, general operations managers, secretaries, except legal, medical, and executive. So that's like an executive assistant. And then again, sales managers. So then this is the top in-demand jobs in Seattle's MSA. And an MSA is a metropolitan statistical area. It's a core area containing a substantial population nucleus, together with adjacent communities having a high degree of economic and social integration with that core. The largest city in each statistical area is called a principal area. The Seattle MSA contains the 3 most populous counties in the state, which is what you would imagine: King, Snohomish, which is north, and Pierce, which is south. The Census Bureau defines the MSA as Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue. So thinking Microsoft and Google and Amazon are all in this MSA. Obviously, software developers and applications is the largest. Registered nurses is next, which is a flip-flop of the previous slide. Managers, all other, again, sales, marketing managers, retail. Then we go into general operations managers, medical and health services managers, sales managers, and then web developers. And I would have thought web developers would be up with software developers, but apparently more people are farming out their websites. So this is the top in-demand jobs in King County. So this includes everything in King County, and it does not include Snohomish. So again, software developers, nurses. It's really very similar to the other one, although computer systems engineers and architects are in there. So hopefully some of you have similar majors. And then if you wanted to stay in Ellensburg, these are the top in-demand jobs in Kittitas County. Again, nurses. This one was interesting to me, the first line supervisors of retail sales workers. I don't typically think of Ellensburg as having a lot of retail. Patient representatives. So this is helping people manage through the healthcare system. Again, software developers, because a lot of people are living in Kittitas County, but they're working in Seattle County. Food service managers, so the restaurants and fast food. Doctors, physicians, surgeons, web developers. And then we're back into nurses and family doctors and general operations. And again, these are the most current jobs posted over 400 different online job posting sites. So then if you were thinking, okay, I like Ellensburg, but I kind of want to move to a little bit bigger city, so you're going to move to Yakima. These are the top jobs in Yakima County. Again, very similar. Nurses right up there, first line supervisors of retail workers, but also accountants. We have 3 large CPA firms here in Yakima, Alegria, Moss Adams, and now I'm going to blank out on the third one. Then medical and health service managers, physicians, insurance sales agents. This is interesting. I was mentioning to Vicki that there are some companies who are actively hiring and cannot find people, and insurance agencies seem to be that. People don't think about becoming an insurance sales agent, but all the local firms are actively recruiting. It's a good starting wage of probably $38,000. And then as you get your licensure, you can move up. There's a lot of people retiring from insurance, so it is a growth opportunity. Speech language pathologists, all the schools need speech language pathologists, and family and general practitioners. Again, we did lose a hospital in Yakima County last year. Astrea Medical Center closed, which some of you may have known before as Yakima Regional. And Memorial Hospital just recently separated from Virginia Mason Hospital, making the healthcare sector even more in demand. So who's hiring in Washington State? So this is the last 90 days having a bachelor's degree or higher. And these were job postings from November to February, February 10th. So they're hiring. Amazon is top job, top company, Microsoft, University of Washington, Intuit, who has TurboTax and QuickBooks, dental, medical health, Providence, Facebook, Salesforce, which is something called Launchpad. It's a customer relationship management software. Soliant, which is another healthcare, and Swedish. And you can see that retail trade is the #2 occupation. Finance and insurance, I mentioned insurance. Manufacturing, so it's not just Boeing. We have a lot of manufacturing here in Yakima County. And manufacturing could include something like Anderson Hay. Educational services, public administration. Public administration is really big because it brings in the county, the city, the state, the federal, as well as tribal governments. And then real estate, rental and leasing, and waste management and remediation services. So this is kind of speaking to the Tri-Cities and Mission Support Alliance, who works with the Hanford site. Any questions? Okay. So why is this information important to you in a job search? If you're going to be looking for a job, I would recommend that you look at some of these sites. The first is ONET. I talked about this earlier in the presentation, and you can do an occupation quick search. You can gather information about wages and employment trends. They'll tell you whether it's a growth opportunity, a green job, and you can pull up the information by state as well as by zip code, and they'll give you some average wages from the low end to the high end. It doesn't get really specific when it comes to smaller areas like Ellensburg, but definitely Seattle will be in there, as well as any of the other bigger cities, the major metro cities. And it's good if you're changing careers, you can kind of see what some of the skills that are based with your occupation can transfer into other occupations. Again, the Employment Security Department, they issue an occupation and demand list. And this means just what jobs employers are hiring for. This occupation and demand list is used in workforce development to determine eligibility for a variety of training and support programs offered through the workforce system. Each occupation in the list is assigned one of three definitions. Number one, it's in demand, and job seekers have a greater probability of finding work within that occupation. Number two, not in demand, so job seekers probably will have a difficult time finding that occupation, work in that occupation. And three, balanced. There's an uncertain probability of finding work within an occupation. And to me, the 1, 2, 3 doesn't make sense. It seems like it'd be 1, 3, and 2 would be balanced, but 2 is not in demand. Again, this list is going to have a lag. The next occupations in demand list for Washington State won't come out until March. So what you may see if you look at the current occupations in demand list on the website esd.wa.gov is data that is probably from maybe November of last year. When I mentioned federal support and training programs, if you have been, if you've left an occupation or a job at no fault of your own, for example, when Central laid some people off, you become what is called a dislocated worker. And in the workforce system, dislocated workers are more than likely eligible for some federal retraining programs. So like if you've almost finished your bachelor's, you were let go and you need 10 or 20 credits, they may be able to help pay for school for you. And they offer support programs like if you need certain clothes for work, or if you're becoming a nurse and you need some support shoes, or you're really in dire stress and you need money to get to your job, they can offer those kind of wraparound services. And so I would definitely, if you are in that situation, I would go to the WorkSource in Ellensburg. It's WorkSource Kittitas County. It's located at 510 North Pine Street. It's kind of in the back, so you kind of have to search for it. So WorkSource, I mentioned that before. The easiest way to think of WorkSource is it's a one-stop job shop. WorkSourceWA.com is their website. It's a talent match website that was developed by Monster.com. So like when you post your resume on Monster and employers come and find you, if you post your resume on WorkSourceWA.com and you make it viewable to the public, if I was a company and I was looking for a marketing manager and you were, your resume listed you as a marketing manager or had keywords related to that occupation, I could find you on WorkSource and contact you. And I could contact you through your email that you post, or confidentially and securely through WorkSourceWA.com's website. Another place that you should definitely want to look is, people forget to look at working for the state of Washington. Careers.wa.gov. You can sort by whatever field, whatever location. Surprisingly enough, there's jobs for people working for the state of Washington at the age of 16. You can be one of the people that goes into a mini mart and tries to buy cigarettes and you're underage, and the state will hire you for that. Then if you wanted to work for the federal government, you'll want to look at usajobs.gov and create a profile there. Federal listings aren't as robust in our area, but even if you take a low-paying federal job, it's a great growth platform, as is the state, because those are the two employers locally who have long-term employees. People do work for their lifetime for the state or for the federal government. And though the wages may not be as high as, say, at Microsoft, the benefits often outweigh the private employers. And for both those, for the state of Washington, you only have to work for 5 years to be vested into their retirement system, which I found pretty interesting. So that was a lot to go over. Again, I hope that Vicki provided you guys with this PowerPoint. I'm always available via email to answer any questions. If you're in job search and you want someone to take a look at your resume, or you want to know some people in Yakima or the Columbia River Gorge or Kittitas, I can tell you about other companies that are hiring there. It's michelle.smith@county.yakima.wa.us. What I'm hearing locally from employers is that there are lots and lots of jobs available. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not looking for work because they've gotten comfortable in their position where they're at. They're living on the wage that they get through unemployment benefits. And the job search requirement that is typical with receiving unemployment benefits has been waived. And it doesn't look like the state is going to make job search required until the pandemic emergency is lifted, which could be as long as next year. So if you are interested in working, there are companies hiring. Treetop, I know, is actively recruiting for various different positions. They have employment, their main headquarters is in Seattle, but they also have jobs and openings in, I believe it's Eugene, Oregon, and they go all the way through most of Washington. Yakima Chief Hops has been hiring, which is another global company. If you wanted to get into the hop industry, they've got a lot of marketing jobs. Triumph Actuation, which used to be GE Aviation, is another international company. They make the landing gear for the jets that land on the Navy destroyers. They also make some of the parts in different airplanes unrelated to Boeing. They're also hiring, and it's Triumph Actuation or Triumph Systems. People think about agriculture and you assume you have to be out digging in the dirt or working in the field. But in our area, especially in Yakima, ag is big business and very high tech. And they're always looking for people at Washington Fruit, Monson Fruit, Matson Fruit, Super Fresh Growers, Allen Brothers, Zirkle Fruit. I mean, we have some huge growers. And they're also mostly international. They've got positions in marketing, in analytics, in IT, and logistics. So don't discount the job market here locally.